Ianis Hagi's Rangers career looks finished. Celtic's Champions League path just got wrecked by Ange Postecoglou. Peter Schmeichel is fuming over attacks on his son. And Leeds are flashing Premier League cash at Raskin. Subscribe now because when we hit 1,000 subscribers, someone's getting a free SPFL shirt. Let's get into it. Ianis Hagi's days in a Rangers shirt appear to be numbered, and not with a bang, but with the all-too-familiar thud of misfortune. The Romanian playmaker, once hailed as a fan favorite after lifting title number 55, has been ruled out for the rest of the season following a knee injury picked up during last weekend's bruising Old Firm clash. Slumped inside Celtic's box after a challenge from Callum McGregor, Hagi's cries for a penalty were swiftly waved off by referee Nick Walsh. And while the spot kick never came, what did arrive was a scan showing yet another rehab stint. This time, roughly 6 weeks on the sideline, with his contract set to expire at the end of the month and no renewal in sight. It seems his 5-year run at Ibrox will come to a close not with applause, but with physio sessions and what-ifs. The timing could hardly be worse. As the club teeters on the edge of an American takeover and interim boss Barry Ferguson steers the team toward the season's end, Hagi watches from the treatment table again. And while his stint in Scotland might be ending, there's still a flicker of hope from abroad. Word is that a few Bundesliga sides have been in touch with his camp, though those talks were paused while medical scans took the spotlight. For now, he's keeping one eye on recovery and another on Romania's World Cup. Qualifying clashes next month against Austria and Cyprus. Let us not forget, this is not Hagi's first rodeo with long-term injury. After that brutal anterior cruciate ligament tear back in January of 2022, he spent more than a year in the shadows, clawing his way back to fitness. So it is hardly surprising that concerns over another operation briefly loom large, only to be thankfully dismissed. Has Rangers mishandled Ianis Hagi's recovery and role over the past few seasons, or was it simply time to cut ties with a player who never quite became what he promised to be? Let me know down in the comment. The champagne might still be fizzing from Celtic's league title celebrations, and there is a shiny Scottish Cup final looming on the horizon. But behind the scenes, the real drama is brewing in Europe. The boys are staring down a Champions League minefield, and believe it or not, one of their former heroes might have just added a few extra traps to that path. Enter Ange Postecoglou, loved, adored, maybe even canonized by some in the East End of Glasgow. The Aussie gaffer has just guided Tottenham Hotspur to the Europa League final. Great for him. Maybe even heartwarming for Celtic fans who still miss his touchline charisma. But here is the kicker. By beating Bodo Glimt, Ange has effectively shut one of the only remaining doors Celtic had to sneak into the Champions League playoff round as a seeded team. With the hoops now projected to be unseeded, they could be forced to square up to the likes of Dinamo Zagreb, FC Copenhagen, Crvena Zvezda, or Ferencváros. Not exactly your dream draw. And here is the twist. Had Bodo Glimt gone all the way and won the Europa League, their UEFA coefficient would have helped Celtic climb back into seeded territory. Instead, Ange's Spurs torched that scenario with a grin and a high press. Now, all eyes are nervously fixed on the closing matches of half a dozen European leagues. Celtic's best shot at dodging an unseeded showdown? A cocktail of collapses. Rijeka or Hajduk Split need to pip Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia. Midtjylland have to outmuscle Copenhagen in Denmark. One of Puska's Academy or PAX has to pull off a Hungarian miracle against Ferencváros. And in Austria, it is all hail Sturm Graz, currently leading a faltering Salzburg with 3 games to go. The stakes? Sky high. Because the new Champions League format promises more money, more exposure, and if we are honest, fewer excuses. So even before a ball is kicked in August, Celtic fans will be scoreboard watching from Denmark to Hungary like their season depends on it. Has Ange Postecoglou actually hurt Celtic's European ambitions more than helped them just by doing his job at Spurs? Or is this just another example of Celtic needing to stop looking for favors and start winning the big games themselves? Drop your takes in the comment. This one's going to divide the room. The drama off the pitch might just be giving the Scottish Cup final a run for its money. Kasper Schmeichel, the veteran keeper guarding the net for Celtic, is back in the headlines, and not for anything he did with his gloves. The 38-year-old has been out with a shoulder injury picked up in Denmark's Nations League clash with Portugal. But he is now battling to be fit just in time for the grand finale at Hampton against Aberdeen. However, while he has been quietly working on his recovery, a storm has been brewing back home in Denmark. A Danish columnist took things from harsh to downright appalling, comparing one of Schmeichel's attempted punches to that of, quote, a child with polio. Yes, really. The backlash was swift and fierce, with the Danish Players Union and a host of national stars rallying behind Casper. And now, Dad has had enough. Peter Schmeichel, a man who knows a thing or two about standing tall in a goalmouth, has finally broken his silence. And he did it in the most Peter Schmeichel way possible: blunt, furious, and utterly unapologetic. Speaking at a funeral, no less, he told Danish outlet Extra Bladet that he would never speak to them again because of the way they treated his son. And I say that here in the church, he snapped. Message delivered, loud and clear. Back at Celtic Park, while the scandal simmers abroad, Brendan Rodgers has had no choice but to reshuffle his goalkeeping deck. Young Viljami Sinalo has stepped in and done more than just keep the gloves warm. 3 clean sheets later, the Finn has given Rodgers a real selection headache. So, with the final approaching and Schmeichel potentially ready to return, the question becomes whether experience trumps recent form. Should Brendan Rodgers bench Sinalo, who has been in top form, just to squeeze Kasper Schmeichel back in for the cup final? Or has the old guard earned the right to walk straight back into the big one? Nicolas Raskin might just be heading for the Ibrox exit, and this time it is not about form, fitness, or fallout. It is good old-fashioned Premier League money doing the talking. Leeds United are back in the big time, and with 100 points to their name and Burnley pipped on goal difference, they are not just planning to survive, they are gearing up to compete. And right near the top of their wish list is none other than Rangers midfield dynamo. At just 24, Raskin has been one of the few consistent sparks in a Rangers side that has flickered rather than burned this season. A mix of defensive grit and forward drive, he has racked up nearly 3,000 minutes across all competitions and earned plaudits for his vision and engine. 6 assists and a couple of goals do not tell the full story. This is a player who knits things together, a midfield metronome who rarely hides. But now here come Leeds, with a pocket full of Premier League broadcast cash and a reportedly juicy contract offer that could turn even the most loyal head. They see Raskin as the perfect fit for their midfield, already boasting names like Tanaka and Ethan Ampadu, but lacking someone with proper European pedigree. And make no mistake, the Belgian ticks that box. Rangers, understandably, want to keep him. They know how rare it is to find a midfielder who can tackle, carry, and thread a pass all in the same move. But let us be honest, when a Premier League club knocks and throws around phrases like lucrative salary, the answer is often not down to tactics or loyalty. It comes down to numbers, both on paper and in the bank account. And let us not pretend this is an isolated issue. Scottish clubs, no matter how big their badge, are always walking a tightrope when England's top flight comes sniffing. Sometimes it is about cashing in. Sometimes it is about the player pushing for more. Either way, it is never a comfortable position. If Raskin does leave Rangers for Leeds, does that prove the club is simply incapable of holding on to top talent anymore? Or should we admit the Premier League is just too big a magnet for anyone in Scotland to resist? Sound off in the comment. This is one question that could ignite both sides of Glasgow. And don't forget, we're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit that mark, we're giving away a shirt of your favorite SPFL team to one lucky subscriber. So hit that subscribe button, drop your team in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. I post videos every day talking about our Scottish football. See you soon.